Hi, everybody. This is Adam Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology, and these are your horoscopes for the month of February 2019. So, this is the Sun and Rising sign horoscope for Aries. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. So, first big transit of the month is a square from the planet Mars in the sign of Aries to Pluto in Capricorn between your first and 10th house. So, this is the house of self, health, vitality, and the 10th house is related to career. So the square from Mars to Pluto can be about conflict, confrontation, and catharsis. This could be an inner conflict. It would probably be related to your work or your professional path right now. Or it could be a more external conflict related to people at work or authority figures. The main thing you want to be careful of is overpowering others or being overpowered, getting into unnecessary power struggles. This is a very strong planetary transit starting the month. It is working into a deeper level of personal change and potentially a moment of liberation later in the month when Mars conjoins Uranus between February 12th and 13th. Let me take you forward to that and just show you what that looks like. So here is the transit of Mars to Uranus on February 13th. You go from this kind of deep, powerful, cathartic Mars-Pluto square to a conjunction with the planet of revolution and emancipation and defiance, Uranus, the rebel in your first house and home sign. So this is a moment where, your need to individuate and break away from things that are no longer working for you, take a stand, make your, make your claim, stake your claim. That's what I'm trying to say. This is a moment where the need to do that could be very strong this month in general. But the second is, in a sense, the second is when you're going to hit the wall with something. And maybe there's a blow up of some kind. Maybe there's a kind of one of those moments of upheaval where pent up energy is released and it's a little messy. And then around the 12th or 13th, you're looking at Mars conjoining Uranus, and it's the moment of personal breakthrough and emancipation you've been waiting for. Or it could represent a moment of just, blockheaded, willful defiance. It depends. Every one of us is in a very different situation in our lives. So you want to be careful of, power trips and unnecessary conflicts this month, burning bridges, but also seize on the opportunity for a real personal breakthrough and maybe professional breakthrough. So that's February 2nd to February 13th, Mars square Pluto, Mars conjoined Uranus. Now, there's lots of other transits happening this month. I've kind of narrowed them down to what I feel are the top most important transits. Oops. Another one on February 4th is the new moon in Aquarius in your 11th house. Now, new moons plant seeds, and they take a while to develop. This new moon is being planted in a house that has to do with friends, allies, groups of people, and it can develop within your life the possibility of new connections, new allies, new benefactors, people who may come into your life and offer you resources or help in a way that's pretty profound. New moons in the 11th house can also be about changes happening in existing friendships or within social circles or groups or organizations that you belong to. With a theme of friends, allies, groups, people that you associate with because you have similar interests or common goals or ambitions is very powerful this month and will continue to develop and grow in the weeks ahead. But there's something new happening in that area of your life this month, as seen by the new moon on February 4th. So going forward from there, we can see On February 14th, right after Mars and Uranus get together, then Mars enters your second house in the sign of Taurus, where it will then stay for the next 40 plus days. Now, Mars in Taurus is in its exile. It's not the most comfortable place for Mars. So some difficulties, perhaps, around the theme of business, money, and finances. It's a very industrious Mars, maybe hardworking, but tends to be a little rigid, inert, and sometimes too controlling. There's also the potential for power struggles around business, money, or finances. You can see, for example, that at the exact same time this month, Venus, which is the dispositor of Mars in Taurus and the ruler of your second house of money, is moving into a conjunction on February 18th with Saturn in your career house. This has the feeling of a kind of make a deal moment, agree to something moment, or terminate some kind of agreement. It also has the moment, the look of greater recognition and achievement, hard work, wisdom, and beauty, the goddess and authority. Those kinds of themes are also pronounced around the 18th of February. But it's very interesting that Venus-Saturn conjunction is disposing of or intimately connected to Mars in the house of money, business, and finances, material possessions as well. So something professionally and financially also a part of the picture of the month. Industrious, hardworking, maybe a little stressful or challenging. I get the feeling of, on the upside, potential for greater achievement or promotion or growth financially or professionally with more increased responsibility or labor or hard work or just stress. The downside would be financial challenges due to unstable or changing work dynamics. Maybe the different kinds of contracts ending, or the something coming to an end in the workplace that has a bearing on financial circumstances in a not so good way. That would be the downside of that transit. So kind of go either way. Kind of always, again, everyone's in a different place. You kind of look at the up and down side of every transit and what it might indicate. All right. On February 18th, the other thing that's interesting is that Chiron, the wounded healer, is entering Aries and moving into your first house. So this is a big transit, really, because it's going to be in your first house and whole sign of Aries for the better part of the next decade, bringing up themes of healing, pain, and woundedness. Very, very personal. This is a most personal place in the chart for this kind of healing to occur. It's physical. It's about your physical body, but it's also about typical Arian issues like hot-headedness, anger, assertiveness, fear, power, and powerlessness. And so these are the themes that you're going to be working on now for a while. But it also, Chiron brings with it the embodiment of wisdom around the healing of those themes. So as you work to heal yourself in relation to these topics that I've just mentioned, you may also naturally take the role of someone whose wisdom or insight you may be called on to serve other people and offer other people the same kinds of healing that you maybe yourself have had, the same kind of healing, that process that you've gone through yourself or that you will be going through yourself. So that's Chiron and Aries around February 18th. Now, February 19th, there's going to be a full moon in Virgo. You can see it right here at the tail end of Leo, just about to pop into Virgo in the 6th house. 6th house, 12th house kind of transit. Interesting. This is usually 6th house, 12th house full moon is a time of transition that's not always easy. So sometimes things are dissolving and we're having a hard time letting go, or sometimes we're having a hard time getting started with something. We're sort of laboring to get something off the ground. we're having to surrender and let go and say goodbye to something. It's difficult. Sometimes we're struggling, feeling like we can't get out can't get off from the starting block, and we're trying to move forward with something. We just can't do it. 6th house, 12th house transits are not easy. You've also got Mercury conjoining Neptune in the 12th house around this time. You want to be around February 19th, the full moon, right around that time. You want to be very clear and try to be very discerning in your relationships and how you communicate, and be careful of what's occupying your mind and your thoughts. The potential for a little bit of self-destructiveness, the potential to create conflicts in relationships through gossip or through being overly critical of oneself, or being overly critical of others, or you could beat up on yourself during this transit too. So a little bit of a heavy full moon, but the possibility again across the 6th and 12th house for selflessly serving others, or for the potential for healing through hardship is also there. So I like this transit, even though, again, it has a little bit of a signature of difficulty around it. Last but not least, on February 22nd, Venus will conjoin with Pluto in your 10th house. So this brings the goddess, the feminine, and the symbol of love and relationships into a conjunction with the Lord of death and rebirth, right? So in the career house, there's something very powerful is churning through your career house this month, and your relationships are being impacted. That's, I think, one of the main messages of this month. This may be inevitable, as we can see the emphasis of Mars-Uranus in the middle of the month on you and needing to go your own way and do your own thing. And what's the fallout in terms of your relationships and your professional life? I think those are two of the main things that I'm seeing in your chart this month that seem to be right at the heart of February. So that's what I've got for you this month, Aries. I hope that this was interesting. I'd love to hear from you and hear how all of this resonates and sits with you. So please feel free to share your comments, and otherwise we will see you again next month for March's horoscope. Okay, take care. Bye.